Welcome back to Mental Fitness Stories, specifically Mental Fitness Fridays. And I just wanted to first off kind of celebrate a little bit. Those who know me, they know that I love to celebrate some of the small, some of the big. And one of these is just the idea that this podcast is going, it's kept going. And this, I think, is episode 18. And so, man, I've just loved it. I'd gotten such energy from it and excitement, and so just here to celebrate it. And I wanted to say thank you to the interviews that I've done so far. Thank you to Melissa, Dave, Carolyn, Jamal, and Rachel. So many amazing conversations in different aspects of life, different topics. And that's what's so beautiful about mental fitness is it's so broad that I think it really has the impact to impact you positively, as well as impact the people that are in your life, the community that you are surrounded with, and might as well dream big, right? Impact the world, in such a positive way of walking through life, being as present as you can be and want to be with those that are around you. And so big thanks, big appreciation to all those guests so far. Looking forward to more of them and really continuing to build this community. That's something that I am learning more about and I'm finding more of a purpose for as well, is to build a mental fitness community, to continue to share this message, continue to just have a platform that says, hey, let's talk about this mental fitness piece. Let's hear people's stories on how it's impacting their lives, and do that on just a consistent basis. And so, hence the podcast, hence the upcoming community that I am excited about. So keep a lookout for those. As well, you're going to be hearing more of my story, from the spot of being a collegiate athlete, probably even younger than that too, right? To where I am now, husband, a father to two amazing little girls, a therapist, and someone who just continues to learn, especially in this mental fitness area of life. And so just being able to share my story is such a part of this. And so as that, I gotta at least share one, right? One story. And it's a recent one, which brings a lot of emotion to it still for me in so many ways. But it has to do with my continued pursuit of just experiencing things that challenge me. I'll put it that way, right? So it's a half marathon. I did the La Jolla half marathon last weekend, and so many things happened during that time. And leading up to it, I have not done a half marathon, I want to say, for over 10 years. It could be about 12 years was the last one I did. Kind of swore I was going to never do it again. And here I am, just a little glutton for punishment, I guess. And at the same time, excited for what that challenge brought. And so, with that, the La Jolla Half Marathon, that was one that I was throwing out to some friends of mine. I'm thinking about doing that, and some of them who have done it before had mentioned, oh, that one, okay. That one's got some hills. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. It sounds challenging. I think I'll give it a shot. There's this piece of me that kind of goes, ooh, I like the challenge. I like maybe when people even think that it's hard or maybe too hard. And I have a little bit of this fire that kicks in. So with that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. This is something that I'm gonna commit to, and I'll train, which I did to the best of my ability, right? As I've shared before, doing the best I can with my training. And overall, I felt pretty good going into the half marathon. And so, right, as you're there, the community of runners that's there, I think there was 3,500 runners, pretty big race. And you're standing there and you have that energy, right? Ready to go. You're getting up into your spot. I was probably more midway through, this group of people, not super fast, not planning on walking the whole thing, but in that middle ground. And so, right, you're standing there and it goes off, right? And everyone's starting to move. And I had forgotten, but you remember how slowly you start to move, especially if you are in the middle group. And so you're moving out into the line until you finally get out there and you start running, and miles start to tick by, 1, 2, 3, and I'm feeling pretty good. You know, there's some mild hills going up and down. It's beautiful, right on the coast. And so we're getting into miles 4, 5, and leading into 6, that's where the beast of a hill is. It's the Torrey Pines Hill that just is a pretty gnarly, steep hill. I had run it once before, and so I had an idea of how it felt. And so I had told myself I was going to run the whole thing. And man, I plugged away. It felt forever, but I plugged away and I got to the top. I had ran the whole thing and I was starting to get my legs back again from getting that pace that I had had previously. And I was feeling all right as I had finished that hill. And at the same time, I realized, man, that took a lot out of me. And so I get into mile 7 and 8. And as I'm leading into 9, my body is starting to tell me, you really done it. I'm starting to feel it. And it's one of those, right? If you've done some of those things before, the wall that I've mentioned before, it's starting to really kick in. And with that, as soon as I felt that, my inner critics really started to kick in too. Things like I was hearing, oh no, you can't go through this again. Knew you didn't train hard enough, right? And if you don't make the time goal that I had or the goal to run the whole thing, this whole thing is a waste. It's a failure. You failed this whole thing. I mean, there was some really loud critics that were happening during that time. And I had to practice, man, some of that self-kindness. I had to allow myself to say, I'm doing the best I can. I'm here. I'm accomplishing what I'm trying to do by just being here. There was moments too where I had to try and stay present with what I was doing. We got a chance to run right on the boardwalk, literally right on the beach. That's right there, looking at the ocean and the water. There's a couple pictures that I took while I'm running, and that actually helped me to remind myself, hey, it's okay. You know, in some sense, as my body is still hurting, like there's some enjoyment that's happening here. There's some excitement that's happening here. And that's a first for me. I hadn't been able to do that in previous races. And I could feel myself start to relax a little bit and tell myself it's okay. So instead of pushing my body to the brink, what I was able to do is balance it out. Now, after mile 9 and you got 4 miles left that you're pushing through, it became, for me, more of a walk-run race. I would walk the hills that were still left, and I'd run down them afterwards. And I would move through as best as I could. I finished the race, right? I got my family there with me, giving my wife a hug, giving my 2 girls a hug, like this, because they didn't really want to get too close to me, because I tend to sweat a little bit. But with that, I realized 2 things that I was feeling as I was going through it. One of them was I was proud. I was proud of the way that I accomplished something, you know, and that I moved through it, that even though there was hard on my body, but hard mentally and emotionally as I was going through the race, I felt like I did the best I could in that. The second piece was the part that I had to look at and be okay with as well, was disappointment. I was disappointed that I didn't make the time that I wanted to make. I was disappointed that I didn't run the whole thing like I wanted to. And I had to take a moment to acknowledge that. And it's taken me some time, like pretty much this whole week, even leading up until now, like doing this podcast now. As I'm talking about it, I realize that I needed to acknowledge that disappointment, to be okay with it, and to let it move through so then I can take the next steps. Like one of them that came to mind was this idea of the training regimen that I do. I need more guidance in it. I realize that I look it up online, I put it up there, and then I follow it as best as I can. And I think there are more ways and people that I can reach out to really find more guidance. It's like those things that you learn once you go through something like not making your goals, right? Or not accomplishing something in the way that you might want to. It can continue to move, and it can continue to move you. As for me, as I've had to practice the self-kindness, I've had to practice that I'm doing the best I can. I've had to practice the I'm enough, you're enough, and really being able to embrace those over time. And so it was pretty cool to look back now and see how that all came together, realize where I'm at, what's happened, and getting a chance to be here to just share that with you, share those experiences. I'm excited to share more as that happens, excited for continued community. If you have some things that you want to share with now, please comment on some of the YouTube videos that are there. You can go to my website and message as well. My website is johnsteeletherapy.com. And as well, look at Facebook, where you can find me on Mental Fitness Stories with John Steele, and as well John Steele LMFT. So I look forward to either hearing from you, as well as look out for that continued community and group and that other platform that'll be coming soon. I hope, as I shared that's something that can be encouraging for you as it was for me. And I appreciate this platform. Like I said earlier, the opportunity to say thank you to all the guests and more to come. So with that, be curious, stay curious, without judgment. Until next time. Thank you for joining us on this transformative journey through Mental Fitness Stories with John Steele. If you resonated with today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a review on your podcast platform of your choice. Remember, your story is important, and so is your mental well-being. If you have a personal mental fitness journey you'd like to share or topics you'd like us to explore in future episodes, reach out to us on social media or through our website. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations, expert insights, and practical tips to help you cultivate a resilient mind. Until next time, take care of your mind, nurture your inner dialogue, and prioritize your self-care. Remember, you are not alone, and your mental fitness and well-being is worth the investment. Thanks for being a part of the Mental Fitness Stories community.